this episode of That Kingsville Podcast, we have Town of Kingsville Manager of Parks, Recreation, and Facilities, Courtney Godfrey, joins us talking arena improvements. We talk about ball diamond improvements. We talk about facilities. We talk about the upcoming facilities evaluation that's happening, among other things. Steve, you're looking at me with such, concern. I know you do, Steve. Love you too.
Just zoning out.
Potentially paving.
I'm done.
All that and more on this episode of That Kingsville Podcast. That Kingsville Podcast is brought to you by Murray Insurance. Are you frustrated with the current level of service you get from your insurance company, or concerned about some of your most important assets and they're not covered the way they should be? Whether it's your car, your house, your income, or your business, ask the professionals at Murray Insurance for a full review and get the peace of mind you need with your insurance. Call Murray Insurance today at 519-733-2331 or email service@murrayinsurance.ca today for a great service, friendly local staff, guaranteed same-day callback, and claims concierge service. That number again, 519-733-2331.
What was it again?
519-733-2331. Thank you, Murray Insurance, for supporting That Kingsville Podcast. Welcome to another episode of That Kingsville Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Hunt, Kevin Black, Steve Ianson. Special guest with us today, Town of Kingsville Manager of Parks, Recreation, and Facilities, Courtney Godfrey. Thank you for coming and joining us
having me
for this wonderful episode.
Thank you.
Guys, it's like summer. We got forest fires, we got hot, we got steamy.
Like, don't breathe too deep.
Every morning getting up, like seeing the red sun in the sky, it's like, is this the end of days?
Yeah, it's kind of, this morning it was a little foggy driving in. I'm like, oh, that's not fog.
No, that's not. That's Quebec.
Yeah.
Pine, right? I've got some friends out east in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick. One's a fireman. Firefighter.
Firefighter.
Thank you. I apologize. Me and my old ways.
It's okay.
But I texted them just saying, hey, is everything okay? He's in New Brunswick, in Moncton, hasn't been dispatched yet. Apparently the Nova Scotia fires are a little bit easier to control.
They had some rain on the weekend.
Right. I texted some friends just outside of Digby. They said that the forest fires were about an hour away from where they were. They'd had some family that was affected, but nobody's hurt. Everything, can be replaced kind of thing. So I can only imagine like the fear and, the impending doom of, hey, you know what? We're within kilometers of, utter destruction, fiery utter destruction. There's not a whole lot we can do about it. So, my thoughts and, hopes of everyone getting out okay. It's seeing it come down this far, seeing it in New York City, seeing it in the States, kind of all that smoke kind of filter through. It's scary.
Yeah, well, it's with the way that the jet stream runs and all of that fun stuff, it just basically funnels it right on top of us.
Yeah.
And we're kind of in that perfect storm for this smoke issues, because if it's a north wind and there's wildfires in Alberta, then we're getting it.
Yeah.
And if there's, an easterly or southeasterly wind and there's wildfires out east or in Quebec, we're getting it. So, it's actually at school, they kept the kids inside today.
Really?
At recess because of the smoke, and the medical officer of health sent out an advisory late this afternoon to warn people to, stay inside. They sent it late this afternoon. It probably would have been more advantageous a little bit earlier in the day, but
well,
you do
what
at
you
least
can.
at least they're trying. So don't take any deep breaths.
Until Kevin did weather when he was in radio. And Doppler Kevin here.
Courtney, Kevin was on radio for 10 years. He was kind of a big deal.
Mix of sun and cloud.
And now he's still a big deal, but not in radio.
Yeah. In the new radio.
Yes, this is the new media. This is how we do radio now. This is it.
I like it.
So yeah, Courtney, you've been with the Town of Kingsville for about a year now.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about how it's been transitioning from where you were. Like, what was your background before you joined us here in this lovely little town?
So my background actually came from college, university, in athletics and recreation. So I started my career eons ago, it feels like, down in the States. Then I came back to Canada, worked with club sports, varsity athletics, recreation side of it, intramurals, facilities. And then my most recent position prior to the town was actually at Sheridan College. And the opportunity came up and I applied, came out, loved Kingsville, and I decided to move out here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So how's the first year been?
It's been a whirlwind. It's definitely a learning curve. Obviously, I came from not a political or as political setting. So it's learning curve in that sense and understanding kind of the ways of Kingsville and also, where we need to move forward, what things work, what things don't, and getting to know the staff, getting to know my user groups, getting to know just Kingsville in general. Because, for instance, I didn't know there was fish flies.
Oh my
Didn't know about that.
And last year was a weak year. You don't even know.
So that was a fantastic surprise. Was not warned about that on my move out here.
Weeks away.
We keep that quiet. That's not on the tourist information.
Yeah.
Welcome to Kingsville. You're going to be inundated with bugs for weeks.
Yeah, so that was an experience and just really learning the different seasons, right? Because at the end of the day, Parks Recreation Facilities is a 24/7, 365-day operation. So it's been adjusting, jumping on things. We've had problems come up, situations, good, bad, everything. So it's day-to-day that we're constantly adjusting and rolling with the punches, basically.
You've got a new council now, and
new council.
There's new initiatives and
new
whatnot,
initiatives.
So, gentlemen, you, Steve. Hey, Committee Steve.
No, there's no committee, Steve.
Yeah, remember
we
that?
only have a committee, Dave.
I know. Remember that time when you were on Parks and Rec?
I do.
Yeah. So
I'm just proud of it.
yeah, no, it's the community is highly engaged in recreation, as you could probably tell with the elaborate facilities that we have, and hey, listen, they're a lot better than some other places. I know some towns that don't even have like proper soccer fields. So.
Well, and if you look at how things were just a decade ago, I mean, the growth and the development and the diversity. I mean, we're not just talking hockey, soccer, baseball anymore. It's pickleball,
bocce,
tennis.
Yeah. Well, sorry. Yeah, I didn't want to leave out tennis, but tennis has certainly grown. So, one of the main reasons we invited you on tonight was to discuss the renovations at the arena.
And here I thought it was because I was awesome, but okay.
Hey,
let's dig right in. Okay, well, first, can we talk about one thing that Courtney's been awesome at? Getting the grass cut this year.
I was going to mention what happened in No Mo May.
Oh, thank goodness No Mo May is gone.
What? Well, we can, but let's start with the main item. Let's start with the big ticket and go from there. The big ticket.
Believe me, last year grass was the big ticket.
We'll build her up. We'll build her up before we slam her down.
No, I want to go right into the arena.
All right,
This was our invitation. Listen, we need to talk about this because this is huge.
It is, yes.
In a sense of what the timeline is,
extent
cost,
of the renovation.
And then obviously delays to certain seasons. So tell us, please, what's happening at the arena this year?
Yeah, so I mean, I came into this position last May. We went to start up ice August, and we actually typically take 2 weeks to start up ice. Last year, we actually took 3. And within that 3 weeks, we found 9 leaks in the floor. And on a separate issue, but still pertaining to the ice, we also had our chiller rupture. So this is the first year that I experienced in Kingsville in this role, which is pretty intense. And so
for people that don't know the way an arena works, what is a chiller, and then what happens in the floor? What are leaks in the floor? Let's walk through some of the nuts and bolts of how an arena has ice.
Let's get real technical.
And I will get as technical as I possibly can in layman's terms.
Absolutely.
So the chiller is basically what makes the floor cold at the end of the day. That's as simple as I can make it. So the chiller that we did have was going into its 21st year. Council previously did approve a new chiller in the budget, and unfortunately, as we came out of COVID, all the supply chains were so delayed that it was about a 15-week lead time just to get it, let alone to install it. So with consulting with our ice experts that we work with in the industry, we had decided to order it as soon as possible after we went through the procurement procedure. And then we went to start up and it ruptured and we didn't have it. So that's why if you play hockey or have sons or daughters in hockey, you would have noticed a massive rental unit on the outside. So basically the chiller ruptured, meaning we couldn't keep the floor cold, which takes me to the leaks in the floor are basically the tubes that run through the floor to keep it ice cold once you put water on it. That's as
the refrigerant flows through the tubes.
Yeah.
Acts like a big old freezer.
Exactly.
Right. Underneath the concrete though.
Yes. So when that happened, we got the rental. We also found 9 leaks in the floor. Previous years, I found out, again, I just had recently started, there were 3 leaks the year prior, 3 leaks the year before. Again, this arena is a 50-year-old building. So the fact that we have maintained it this long, kudos to the Parks and Recreation staff. Like, hands down, they've maintained it, and really not even with the arena, but all of, like, the soccer fields, everything, they have always done so well with less. And that's a testament to their work ethic in them. So when the chiller ruptured, we found the leaks. 9 leaks is a very big to do. And the leaks weren't just, a simple fix. It was somewhere in the header trench, and the header trench is basically what connects the pipes to the back refrigeration room and allows like the runoff of the water. Some of them were actually in the concrete floor, which means we actually had to dig into the concrete floor at this time to fix the leak. So if we didn't fix leaks, you wouldn't have maintained cold ice. It would have become soft and it wouldn't have been safe to skate on, let alone ice at all. So we got on as quickly as possible, and that delayed last season to about middle of September. Normally we start up long weekend. We start up about September 18th. So when that kind of came up, we actually spoke with our experts who maintain our facility, and we said, okay, this is the situation. We've had 15 leaks in the past year. We're experiencing this. We're experiencing this. And they basically told us, well, we don't know how much longer you're going to get out of this ice pad. So that's when we brought it to council for budget. And that's how the whole process got started.
So I looked it up today. So I think it's budgeted 1.8 million for the chiller, and then
no. So the chiller, which was previously purchased, and the new one is installed. The chiller was budgeted for, I think it was on last year's budget, off the top of my head, under 200,000.
Okay,
and that's all complete. However, that doesn't help with the
floor.
The floor.
Like
and
Swiss cheese.
So the floor is what was, but the whole revamp of the floor, all the piping, all the concrete, all the new boards, all athletic flooring, because you're ripping it all out. That's what was budgeted for the 1.8.
Okay. So that construction, you're basically going in with equipment and pulling out all the concrete. Is that?
In a roundabout way, yes. But there's definitely more technical aspects with it. So we decided, because this is a project with some heavy weight to it, we actually decided to hire a consultant. So we went through and hired a consultant who, this is their bread and butter. They've done 70 plus arenas. This is one of those things where they have an engineer on staff. They've any problem that we might possibly encounter, they've seen. There's no way that any one of us could have just taken this on and been like, hire a contractor and come in.
My cousin, he does cement. Bring him in.
We wanted
the town's done that before. Have you heard of a building down by the lake? No?
Moving on. We'll talk about that later.
That was prior to me.
Now, how are you going to deal with it? Oh! Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Yeah. So you do.
I do, yes.
So they have contracting service with that's well equipped.
Yes. And so we hired the consultant. They basically drew up the tender for the actual contractor. The tender alone was significant in detail, to the point that I personally would not have known. And I'm okay with admitting that. Engineering is not my forte. So we hired a consultant. Then we put the tender up, followed our procurement policy, brought down the tender, met with the internal committee that we had, and then that was taken down on the 21st of April. We brought it to council on the 24th, and we started construction like the first week of May. So with that, yes, it's cutting concrete, removing it. Layman's terms, yeah, it's basically removing everything out and replacing it all.
We talking like the doorways to the to the facility rooms, or just from the boards in?
So from the front lobby to the back Zamboni room. Yeah. So the stands will remain the same, but anything kind of on the ground level all gotta go.
Now, I know there's not a lot of wiggle room because of the stands, and I'm sure you have to have a certain width of walkway for accessibility. Mm-hmm. But obviously it's one of the smaller ice surfaces. Is there any way to increase it, or are we looking at same size rink as previous?
So,
or ice surface, I guess, is the best way to put it.
We actually looked to see if we could increase it. No, we couldn't, quite frankly, with how the lobby wall is really built into it. So ultimately it is the same size. However, because you will be able to notice it, the boards that align with the lobby wall, so the boards that align with the lobby wall will remain there, and the new boards will go in front.
Okay.
So that wall will lose a small portion, and the reason for that is if you've ever skated on our ice in the corners, if you've ever noticed there's a lot of soft ice or burn off, that's because the dasher boards, were put on the apron slab. So the burn off from there, it couldn't stay frozen. So this is to prevent that and keep the ice and our users, which is our main goal, safe.
Okay, interesting point.
Well, with the ice pad size, council made that decision years ago when they decided not to replace the arena and instead renovate it.
No, right. No, and I get that, but just, throwing it out, because I didn't know if you would literally have to knock it down, because we know the walls are load bearing. Mm-hmm. I guess the only way you could go would be towards the tennis courts and take out that whole stance, and that's a whole other millions.
Or out towards Old Jasperson, right?
Well, then you're just making it longer and
you make it perpendicular. It's a big word.
Like a pie-shaped ice?
No, like you take a pie-shaped thing. You take a whole rink and you put it in the parking lot. You put a building around.
Start a new game,
new sport. Moving on.
Right. So obviously now you got to work as quickly as possible. What are we looking at as far as completion time and startups for skating and hockey and all the other activities on the ice?
Yeah, so I mean, personally, I feel that I worked as quickly as I possibly could. Documents were up within a week. We did such a tight turnaround in terms of tender timelines. We did our research. We made sure it was a reputable company. It's not their first arena. We made sure that, anyone who is touching this project has experience on it. And ultimately, our timeline has remained the same. We have been very transparent with our user groups to even the public meeting session that I hosted. We're still looking at November 1st ice. And if timelines change based on construction, we have said we would notify user groups immediately because they're the main impact. But knock on wood, so far so good. Of course, we've seen some issues come up that we didn't necessarily expect, but we expected something. But our contractor and our consultant have been amazing, and as soon as something comes up, they're on it like that, and they've corrected it. Change orders have been issued, and we're meeting bi-weekly on it. So it's going well, and it's on time so far, which is great.
Are you having update meetings with the user groups to keep them apprised of how it's going?
Yep. So we actually started monthly user group meetings. So I do the last Wednesday in every month. I do a field meeting, so baseball and soccer, and then an ice meeting after that. And we ask the user groups to send no more than 2 delegates, just so it's
not a whole bunch of people.
Yeah. Unfortunately, only one group showed up to our first monthly meeting. So we did take minutes and we sent those out following the meeting.
How's the response been? Because in the community, obviously, it's something that gets talked about. Hockey is a big part of our culture. Are you surprised at all by some of the response that you've heard?
No. I mean, I understand what a detriment this is to a season. Believe me, I grew up playing sports. I played multiple sports. I played 22 years. I was a Division I athlete. Like, I get what a season means to people. I will say the frustrating point, or maybe the miscommunication, is when the community is misleading other parts of the community. A lot of the times when we've kind of explained, at the end of the day, this is about risk mitigation. I've been very transparent since day one about this project, that we have basically, we could go to start up in September. Hypothetically, say we hadn't done this project. We could go to start up in September and be perfectly fine, lose ice mid-year. I don't know. We could go to start up and have ice fine for 10 years. I don't know. We could go to start up and can't start up at all. At this point, because of the amount of leaks and problems we have had with the floor, it is about risk mitigation. And I didn't want to personally, and I think a lot of us didn't want to personally take that risk of not even having a season. So we've communicated with the users to, like, as soon as we knew information, we communicated it out. We held a public information session. And to be honest, even at that, I think a lot of parents that came to that were frustrated because all they were being told is season is delayed. And when we actually, when I showed them the pictures and really kind of said, like, it's a risk mitigation, they were like, okay, I get it. It's a very unfortunate thing. Believe me, no first year manager wants to deal with this.
No?
In their first year, let alone in their career, because there's no good time to do this.
Well, and don't comment on this.
Okay.
But if don't, I'll save you the trouble. But if this community is well aware, there are issues if the town doesn't hire the proper project managers and consultants when doing a large scale project. Yeah. And if this meant that hockey season was going to be pushed off by an extra month because we needed to hire a project manager, don't comment on this. But at least this time, it's not going to cost us $4.5 million when it was supposed to cost under $1 million.
Hey,
Kevin, right?
That's twice in this one episode. You don't have to comment on anything.
Am I wrong?
Not
Okay,
wrong.
so where are we going now? Grass?
Yes, no more, man. Anyway, to put a nice little bow on it. So in November, we're gonna have like a nice unveiling of the new ice. We're gonna get some figure skaters and some professional like demonstration to see how good the new ice is. Prove to everybody.
As long as you're willing to come out.
I can't skate worth a darn.
No,
Well,
nor me.
we're gonna.
I physically can't.
His wife can.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, I know.
She hasn't taught you?
No.
Okay.
Well, we had a deal. I had to learn to skate or ski, and I chose.
All right,
All right. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we'll do something. It's not as exciting of a project as something brand new, but it is going to be brand new for us. We're doing some new flooring, which is going to look good. New dasher boards.
I think you'd be surprised. Like Kingsville, when we had the renovation to turn it into the Kingsville Recreation Complex, right? That was what, 20 years ago?
That long.
No, 2007.
Yeah.
16. Hockeyville. 2008.
Right, yeah.
Oh my God, it's 16 years.
See? Yeah. Time warp, Kevin.
Oh,
Yeah, we lost a few.
2000, yeah.
20 years ago, when it just used to be the big blue, steel building.
Yep.
Quite an accomplishment for a small town, investment in recreation in the community. And like I said when we started the episode, a lot of people benefit from it in so many different ways.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that facility served so many different functions, so many different groups over time, and the investment that you're making in to make sure that the skating utilization for all your user groups is solidified for the next 20 plus years.
Well, and we can watch the little kids skate around the boards and not trip as they come out of the corner.
Yep.
And you haven't been to a Buck and Doe in Kingsville if you haven't been to one upstairs at Arena while kids are zooming around on the ice.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not even just about our user groups. Our user groups are a huge proponent to what we do, but at the end of the day, we're here for the community as a whole. We're here for everybody. So even from, excuse me, our public skating, our numbers this year were amazing. I think the lowest number we had on a Saturday was maybe 50, and the highest we had over 100. And that's a Saturday afternoon. Mm-hmm. We also did some unique offerings this year. We also offered 2 late night shinnies this year. We were seeing kids come out. Yep. So it's about everyone.
When the services are correct and appropriate and accessible, then all the only missing piece is the communication. So as we continue to kind of reemerge into back the way everything is, this is the second full season of non-restrictive kind of utilization. Yeah, it's coming at a little bit of a detriment because the season's delayed, but if you look at it, it's the investment. So,
yep.
So yeah,
absolutely.
So speaking of renovations, the ball diamonds. So there has been some, I think, confusion around the work that's happening at the ball diamonds. So first, let's talk about the size of the project. So when was that project started?
Okay.
And how much was budgeted for it to?
So the project you're talking about was actually the ICIP grant. This was something that was applied for prior to me getting there, and I kind of came in to finish them off. So off the top of my head, I want to say it was the grant that we received was $615,000. I don't know the breakdown, whether provincial, municipal on that note, but throughout my time here, I have presented to council and committee of the whole regarding updates. So the ICIP grant was actually not specifically just for the baseball diamonds. It was a 3-part grant we split it into 3 parts. So the main chunk of that grant actually went towards the new dog park that we're building, which is across from the recreation complex in Kingsville on Road 2. The second part of that grant was the pickleball shade structure, which is located outside the pickleball courts right now. And then the third part was the upgrades to Diamond 2 and 3 at Kingsville Baseball, for Kingsville Baseball at the
baseball complex.
Thank you. Wow.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So it was split between all of those.
Was that always the way? Because this is where I think the confusion is. Was that always the way that grant was intended, or is that a change to how it was intended? So
when you have grants, they are so specific that you don't have the ability to change them around when you apply for them. Because we had even asked, I think at one point prior to me even starting, hey, instead of doing this, can we do this? And they're like, no, your paperwork is submitted. This is all you get. I even asked if I could put some of the money towards a different diamond. No. So they are so specific with the grant, and it's not worth you going off course
and losing funding.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, absolutely.
So I will say maybe the confusion is with grants, especially infrastructure grants, we have to post signs. So some people may have seen the provincial and federal signs saying, this is funded by Government of Canada, yada, 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 615. And because it was all one grant and I didn't want to post 20 different signs, I did it all once. So maybe that was my mistake by not clarifying on a sign, but ultimately that's how the grant was always broken down.
So because I checked the budget, so I think it was 185,000 was budgeted for this year because it was a carryover, right, from last budget. And is that work? That's the work that's been completed now, right? So
not all the work has been completed. So with regards to the baseball diamonds specifically, we did new fencing on both diamonds, new dugouts, new concrete. I also we purchased new drag mats to actually groom the diamonds properly, as well as new groomers. So all those kind of go into the budget as well. The clay, the yellow safety, which is, in my opinion, making the field pop really nicely. So all that kind of goes into it when we're breaking it down. There's some additional things that we're still purchasing that we've met with Kingsville minor ball to discuss and see kind of their needs of what we're physically doing to the upgrades to the diamonds.
All right. And
Yeah, well, speaking about the diamonds in the fields, right? We joked earlier about no mow May and how much of you moved here in May. You started in May in the midst.
I actually didn't move till June. I commuted in May from Burlington.
Fun.
Oh.
Bet you that was great. Oh. Yeah,
no one wants
That's how
that drive.
committed this manager was.
Yeah, well, hey, welcome down to the neighborhood. Anyhow, but yeah, that was a major, I guess, sticking point. Let's call it point of contention.
Concerns.
There was concerns, right? You know, some we had
Sticking like a tick would in long grass.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
So the jungle.
It was a growing problem.
But honk honk. Thank you, Gary.
To weed out the concerns.
Gary, there's more coming. On guard. We gotta cut it out, Steve.
No.
Kick some grass.
No.
Yeah.
Wow, you're on a roll.
Oh, so yeah, the gentleman.
I don't get one for the
You
lawn
don't-
roll.
Okay.
Okay, there we
No.
go. No, too scared.
This is the show. Courtney, this is the show.
No, I love it.
Yeah, the geese and
I
whatnot.
appreciate it. So with regards to the grass cutting in May last year, yes, I came in at that point and let's lay it out there. At the end of the day, grass cutting depends on the weather. Everybody was trying to keep up with the weather.
Oh, it was treacherous
it
last
was
year.
such a wet May that we as a town, our staff could not keep up with it. Our contractor could not keep up with it. Even other municipalities. And it wasn't just Kingsville. It was all municipalities were facing this. So there were multiple things that led to us not being at our best in that May. So it was equipment that unfortunately wasn't working properly. And it was our big track list. So that's quite significant. We looked at renting. Quite frankly, we got laughed at. They're like, no, like they're rented out because everyone was so behind. So you put really wet May, down equipment, it creates a perfect storm, right? And so the difference between this May and that May was we got ahead of our equipment. We also got on list for rentals as a just in case. And quite frankly, we haven't had a ton of rain. Yes.
Or any.
Yeah, none rain.
Well, in the beginning we did because we do have soccer that wants to start early and even baseball. And there was a week where we did actually have to keep the fields closed this year, which I understand it's not a fun thing. And when it looks sunny and all pretty outside, we're like, well, why can't we get on? Because unfortunately underneath it's still sopping wet. And that's what creates problems for us later on, not just from an operational standpoint, but from a safety standpoint for people using the grass. Because as soon as we get to this weather, it's hard to actually grow grass.
And, you know, with the new K-12 school that's getting built adjacent to the recreation complex, you know, now you've got another structure that's going to kind of affect the drainage of the overall footprint of that kind of corner of town.
Well, there's that
culvert
drain in the middle.
Right. But it's a matter of like there's going to be utilization from the school as well onto those grounds, right? There's going to be more and more traffic in that area just as a whole. You're putting all the kids there. So, yeah, there's the need to preserve and need to take care of in the sensitive early season. Absolutely.
So maybe the school board should pay to tile it, some drainage.
Put a track in or something like that. I don't know. So yeah, that will pose another whole kind of end of things because as we understand, they'll be utilizing some of the property, some of the recreation complex as a relationship with the town of Kingsville.
I don't think that's been established yet, but obviously we would be open to that. And we'll see from there.
Yeah, it would make sense. They're right next door. You know, it was
I know
strategic.
they use the tennis courts.
They
the
do.
agreement
And the
there,
arena.
obviously the arena. Yep.
So I'm sure that will extend over into the baseball diamonds for.
They do use the baseball
They do
diamonds.
use our baseball diamonds right now.
See?
Speaking of facilities,
Actually, real quick, speaking of baseball, the high school girls slow pitch team heads to OFSA in Dorchester Monday, Tuesday.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
kudos to them.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I
Congrats.
know the boys team on Wexa don't have any details on SWASA.
Oh,
but
okay.
anyway,
We can't call
it must
Andrew.
be the diamonds.
We've yeah, there you go. It was the playing surface. We've released our correspondent from KDHS. He's graduating. Andrew, thank you again.
he's
He's
gone.
been released from his contract.
Yeah.
We have to find his replacement.
He did his 2 episodes.
Yeah, he did. It was, hey, come on.
We
what are the
released
ideas
him.
Yeah, he's been released from.
It's been
But yeah,
optioned.
speaking of facilities, Kevin.
No, please continue.
Yeah.
Well, the review.
Correct. So, big topic. We've got many places in town that the town owns.
We do,
I don't know
yes.
if you've counted them all, but we probably have.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So-
and they're old.
Some.
Yeah.
One's pretty new.
One's pretty new.
You're not wrong.
You just nerfed us that one.
It's a beautiful library.
Yes, that's fantastic.
It is a lovely library.
That is.
Absolutely, Steve.
Yes.
To that point, as we understand, there's going to be a review and assessment of the facility.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about what's going to happen in the timeline for that?
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to my knowledge on it. So the town, we did hire a consultant, Mr. Terry Fink, who's from the Windsor-Essex area, has previous roles as manager and director, so has an abundance of experience. He was hired as a consultant to oversee the creation of this report. I don't know the findings. I just know that we have, I believe it's 15 buildings that he's going to be reviewing in that list, and it will be going to committee of the whole on June 22nd at the Grovedale. So it is a public
Everybody
hearing.
go.
Yes.
Let's make sure the attendance is there because we do have listeners, believe it or not.
I hope so. I mean,
We are kind of
Reserve a row of 3.
yeah. So, I mean, I think the purpose of this report is really to find out where we are with our buildings. Where should we be? Like, we're a growing community. There's a need for recreation. And to speak to your point earlier, that recreation and parks is so important for any community, right? At the end of the day, that really makes your community go round and round. And it is important. So it's important to look at where we need to invest and where we need to strategic plan for.
Sounds like something that important should go to council and not a committee.
Isn't that the same thing? And then they just refer to themselves later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of parks, Lakeside Park, right? Welcome
Awesome
to Lakeside Park, right?
Yes.
You know, fantastic. Now that they got the drainage culvert installed down at the bottom of the hill. You would have been here when we'd had a couple of events at the park. So the comment was made that the Highland Games and the traffic was damaging that new planted surface. Is that a reality? Because that's something that was used as one of the excuses or the reasons why it wasn't a good facility to house it in future use, or, you know, that kind of high traffic in that sensitive grassy area.
Well, anytime you plant new grass, it needs time to actually take and grow. So absolutely, that amount of traction on it, we did see some damage. With regards to Highland Games and the moving, I personally wasn't involved in that.
Yeah, there was many other different. I'm not saying it was just specific to that. But.
It's just it does. Anytime we have major events, we see, unfortunately, damage just because of the nature of events that come through. So it wasn't specific to Highland Games, but it is a big part because they did have quite a massive crowd.
Do we have any other events? Because I'm racking my brain, and I think that the park is not going to be used for anything this year other than Fantasy of Lights.
Park.
Mm-hmm. Well, we do have through our CERT process, like special events. So I know that I just actually saw an email come through regarding a not-for-profit walk to raise money. And they kind of start in Lakeside Park. There's a cross-country meet. So there are other things that maybe aren't necessarily town-run that do run in the park as well.
Yeah. And then we've got the big Greenway Jam that's happening in Meadowas Park. So that's a thing now.
Yeah, it's exciting.
We had some discussion in a previous episode about it being at that facility. Is there anything that the town has to do in order for the residents that live adjacent to that park? Is there anything that you have to do to prepare for that event there?
Well, the event isn't run through the town.
No, but the town owns the property.
Yes, and our recommendation, and we would support the event in this in notification. Again, communication makes the world go round. It's very helpful. that's about it in terms of like that resident side. Just letting them know that,
hey, there's going to be a big old, concert happening in your backyard for a weekend. And,
Yep.
Yeah, all right.
Yep.
So council approved several new hires in different departments this year. I think, I don't know how many for Parks and Rec, but I'm aware, obviously, from previous experiences, that there has been a need identified by several people, whether it's been former employees or just outside personnel. What are you looking to be able to do this year once sort of the hiring process is complete that maybe you haven't been able to do or pick up on, that maybe has been sort of, I don't want to say overlooked, but maybe you haven't been able to get to simply because of lack of staff?
Well, I think, and I think I can speak for multiple areas within the town. We're all very understaffed. And council has recognized that, and they've really set it as a priority, which is appreciated. So we were in Parks and Rec, we were approved for staff. We have not hired that staff yet, just due to internal aspects. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure if people are really aware that the Parks and Recreation staff who oversee everything from Cottam, Kingsville, Ruthven, Marina, baseball diamonds, parks, waterfront access points, beaches, marina, you name it. We have 8 full-time staff to do all that.
Yeah, they got 2 feet, they got 2 arms.
And
each can do
24 hours.
Right? Yeah.
And 6 part-time staff. And yes, we do get students in the summer.
Right.
And so I think in total, off the top of my head, it's been a long day. I think in total, including my facility clerk, the supervisor, I think there's about 20 of us in the summer for the Parks and Recreation Department. That's not a lot. And I know that the staff are out there daily working. So I know, we've set a very high bar for ourselves because, things look beautiful. And that's a testament to them and the hard work that they put in. And ultimately, by adding more staff, we can really ensure that we can get to maintain the baseball diamonds, maybe designate someone. I can't designate someone right now because we're pulled in multiple different directions. Right. So ultimately, any staff addition would be beneficial because it allows us to kind of get work done.
Right. And I guess I want to sort of clarify too that question was in no way a shot to any of the staff because
not at all.
I'm out walking the dog at 7:30 Sunday morning and there's someone out there on a tractor.
100%. That's what I'm saying. They work hard.
They do. Yeah. I agree. So I just want to make that clear that
yeah, just recognition that there's relief hopefully on the horizon, and an improvement of services. That, as we found out, they did surveys and said that that was one of the main public concerns.
Right.
Yeah.
And what just want to touch on, and this is more, I guess, information, me overhearing things. You don't have to comment, but obviously, the parking lot at the soccer field's off Weigel. And the new, I don't know, whatever you want to call them, stanchions or bollards or whatever.
Off Kratz, yeah.
Sorry. Yep. Really made a difference. But the lack of rain has created obviously a dust bowl.
Yep.
And the majority of people that I've seen coming in and out of the parking lot recognize it. They're slowing down, taking it easy. There's always a couple.
Hot rod.
Well, there's
It's not a drive.
exactly. There's always a couple. But then you get the odd person like, well, geez, the town needs to do something about this.
Heard of calcium?
Is it that type of voice too?
Maybe a can.
It is.
Well, it was
in my head.
It was a little bit along those lines. It was.
Oftentimes I get them through email, so it's nice to hear the voice that they probably came
Anytime.
from.
Voice work, if you translate,
Dave is
it's fine.
outstanding.
Perfect.
Thank you.
But and I'm wondering though, is there anything that you do or can do with that lot, like other than maybe take a water truck out there and when you
Water
get these
the dust.
prolonged dry stretches? I see that there's rain in the forecast, I think Sunday and into next week, which could change 6 times between now and then. But is there anything that can be done to mitigate the dust in those areas?
Yeah, so this it became very apparent this season. Last season it wasn't as bad or nearly as bad, or even the last couple of years. So we've heard from concerned parents and user groups that this, the amount of dust kicking up is substantial. And so we looked into like a like a brine solution to put down. And we're looking at scheduling that.
I think I know what he's laughing at.
What?
You could always pave it like the path at Lakeside Park.
You know, I knew what you were because I was going to say I was going to tell Thomas to pave the damn lot and not the paths at Lakeside Park. And I'm sorry, this is another thing between Councillor Neufeld and I. And as soon as he started, I knew exactly where he was going to go. Anyway, sorry, Courtney.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So being the evil emailing person,
Thanks,
if you spray it with calcium chloride, that's bad for the environment,
Whatever.
right?
Well, it's
just not me saying it, but that email is coming.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know that.
It's
That's what they used to do.
It's a salt brine solution.
Yeah.
Calcium chloride used to be for up where you're from. It was all over the roads.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
So
I know.
Back in my day.
I consulted with Public Works. This is typically what they suggest for it. So at the same time, to send a watering truck out there, that would be multiple trips. And and to be honest, even our watering list grows all the time because we have CIB and the Hort Society who are amazing at beautifying the town, and we need to make sure that we're constantly watering.
Well, and without rain.
Yeah. And that's just, again, it's that's perfect storm, if you will, that if you get rain, doesn't really help the grass. If we don't get rain, then it doesn't really help other aspects,
It's not
right?
one thing, it's another.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's never...
Such is life.
Exactly.
Wow. Well, Courtney, the past year, a lot of challenges, a lot of things that you've had to come. You're comfortable now, I'm assuming, in this role. Anything that you're kind of... No, you're not? Okay.
No.
That's fine. You know, actually, I'm scared.
Don't want to put words
I
in your
don't think
mouth.
anyone from the town actually listens. None of the higher ups are listening.
No, it's just every day, it's a new adventure of what's going to come up next.
But
so.
any wish list projects that you think that, hey, the places that you've been, the things that you've done, the experiences that you've had, these are things that we should really add to our town and some of the facilities.
Well, I think, as I said earlier, my background is sports, recreation. I think it is so important to the community. I think as a child growing up in sports, I think you learn so much that really helps you along in your adult life. And so I think we need to strategically plan for the future. And I know that's a goal of council because at the end of the day, we're growing. And even our recreation complex in Kingsville and even in Cottam at Ridgeview, we're landlocked. There's not room for expansion. And so it's, where are we going? Where do we need to go? I know our user groups are growing. Our demand for community space is growing. So I would love to see, a new recreation center. I would love to see an actual gym space.
Don't say the P word.
The B word?
P word.
Oh,
Please don't say
that
Please
I will
don't
not say.
Thank you.
Because that's an operational nightmare.
Oh, isn't it though? See, finally somebody we're speaking to that understands that a pool is not a great idea for us. I said it. Sorry, everyone. I said it.
Yeah.
Get some rice in
but
here.
yeah,
Kick him
these are the things again. Now that you're into the position and you can kind of feel it out. Hopefully, this facilities review will give you a little bit more of an understanding of what council and what
The
budgetary
community needs,
right, and what budgetary allotments that you're going to have in order to improve or alter. There might be some that get sold off and some that get purchased for other needs.
Yeah, and again, I don't know what those recommendations are, but
Not yet.
I believe that it will be in the best interest of the town. And at the end of the day, this will be a starting point of the next steps of where we need to, what we need to take to get there.
Yeah. You said it all, Courtney. Hey.
Glad I
Again,
could
thanks for
sum
taking
it
the
all
time.
up.
Yeah. It wasn't so bad.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, my God. No, thanks for taking the time. out of your
thank
night.
you.
Drink when she gets
Yeah.
home
Oh,
tonight.
jeez. We're not that bad. We're not investigative. Or, what did you mean about that? We're not holding anybody's feet to the fire, are we? You might. Not this. Anyway, Courtney, thanks for joining us on That Kingsville
Thank you for
Podcast.
having me.
Welcome to Kingsville.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. That Kingsville Podcast, also supported by Kingsville Brewery. Tap House 127. Anybody heard of that?
Yes.
Yeah. It's the awesome new restaurant
So good.
by Kingsville Brewery in downtown Kingsville. Land Afoot emphasizing the original farm to table. Whether you're looking for some handhelds or main attractions, we have something for you made using only the freshest locally sourced ingredients. Our smoked and French venison rack comes prepared to absolute perfection. And it does.
It's delicious.
Oh my God. It's
Are you going to talk about the blueberry sweetgrass chutney?
This dish is topped with a sweet blueberry grass sauce and is coated in a delicate blend of puffed rice and our signature venison pemmican.
It is so
Oh my God, it's so good.
good.
This dish,
I first time I've ever had blueberry sweetgrass. Well,
Yeah.
first time I ever had sweetgrass. Oh my God.
oh, it's so good.
Oh, it's delicious.
This dish, you just need to try for yourself. And you know, unbiasedly,
Salivating right now.
if they didn't support us, I would still tout it. I had the brisket sandwich, and holy mother, Jen had the portobello mushroom for lunch, and just phenomenal.
I think I've eaten half the menu so far. I had the steak, delicious. I asked for a little bit of the blueberry sweetgrass on the side. It's amazing. Then I had the lamb.
Like butcher shop beef
So good.
brisket. Features tap house smoked Ontario brisket and delicious gravy topped with sauteed mushrooms, horseradish aioli, honey Dijon aioli, crispy onions, and smoked Gouda, served on a lightly toasted potato bun.
So
You can't, like golly. Yeah, remember
and they're serving local vegetables.
yeah. So now exactly, and it's local, a lot of local produce, a lot of local. Don't
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, listen, everybody knows, Kevin.
It's delicious. Is the new menu is
It is,
fantastic.
but don't forget the beer garden's open as well too. So now that the weather's nice, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, check the website for hours. Thank you, Kingsville Brewery, for supporting That Kingsville Podcast. In other Kingsville news, we should do like Kingsville News sounder. There's more news of 183 Main.
Which property is that?
Just,
183
just go to the news.
Steve had it. 183 Main.
It's just in case people did forget.
Correct.
Because we talk about it all the time, but it's across from Migration Hall.
Across from Migration Hall.
It's that old house.
Heritage designation, Esther Jasperson, Red House. Okay. Condo development going to be put in the back. There was a presentation to the Heritage Committee that just occurred where they the developers proposed a change to the lot layout. And part of the proposal was to move the house from its existing location and bring it closer to Main Street and make it a showpiece on the property, refurbish the existing structure to preserve it, and then adjust the building development that would happen to the rear of it from a 3-story to a 6-story condo building. So in one, facilitating the preservation of the building, but adjusting the building in the rear in order to meet densification quantities. So we're hoping in the next episode to have Christian from Brado Developments on the show to discuss their input, what's happening with that development and their timeline and all the details with that. So all you faithful listeners, stay tuned.
Because I'm so confused with who is allowed to make what decisions when now. So Heritage Committee makes that decision. Does that still
No.
need council approval? I don't think.
Yes, it does. Well, they still have to go through a site plan revision, right? Because the original site plan was a 3-story and it was in situ in different.
But I don't believe site plan comes to council anymore.
You know what? Yeah, I think you're right.
So I don't think this will actually end up coming to council.
No, but there will be adjustments that they will have to do to that. So, yeah, maybe she's just a pass through. Yeah, I don't know. We'll ask Christian next week or next episode, hopefully. So, if not, I guess we'll do some investigative reporting here on That Kingsville Podcast.
That'd be interesting to see, because if that happens, then that's basically doubling the size of that. And we'll talk to Christian about it. I mean, but that's doubling the size of that development. But because council doesn't get site plan review anymore, there'll be no public discussion about it.
Yeah, or if there's not been any kind of bylaws or any other kind of height requirement regulations passed, they don't stand a chance. Much like what just happened on Division Street North, right? They don't have the ability nor the authority in order to prevent or enforce different height requirements. So if I remember correctly, that went to 12 meters on Division, 42 feet for total overall building height for those 6 stories. So you can envision the same piece of property having that type of scaled structure. So, hey.
Nothing council can do.
Nothing they can do. You can't argue it.
They could pass regulations so that this couldn't happen, but nothing they can do.
Nothing they've done.
Nothing they've done.
Nothing they're doing.
Things they could do.
So other things that are happening in Kingsville. You guys have children in baseball.
Yes.
We're not actually talking about that.
Yes, we are.
No.
Yes.
No.
No, things are kind of full swing.
Ooh.
I know. I was waiting to set you up for it. But yeah, we're starting to get outdoors, is what I was saying, and getting back into a summer frame of mind. Like we've got 3 or 4 weeks of school left. Things are starting to happen in the community. And for instance, there's a charity car wash and barbecue that's occurring June 10th. It's June 11th from 9 a.m. till about 3 o'clock in the afternoon for the Second Kingsville Scouts at Kingsville Home Hardware. It's a major fundraiser that they have. So, it's this weekend that Gary, you'll have this hopefully out in the next couple of days. So we're not, thank you.
And they're raising funds to go to, and correct me if I'm wrong. Well, he will, because we're going to have Scott Augustine on in a future episode. But the Scouts do have a trip planned to, I think, BC.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if it's for the Jamboree or if it's something Scout related that's not the Jamboree, but we'll find out. But yeah, so that's the nature of this event, to fundraise for that.
Yeah, and we're starting to see other events pop up around town. It was.
I hope they have hot dogs. Love a good good Brenner hot dogs.
Oh.
And the Scouts always seem to be cooking somewhere. So.
Yeah, there's a mom market. Small.
I'm sorry, mom
market?
market.
Is that for like single guys?
No. No. The mom
How
market
much for
Windsor
mom?
devoted to showcasing small business owners, consistent and high quality curated vendor markets in Windsor Essex region. So at the Pavilion, coming up on June 24th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Can dads
there's
go?
a local event. Yeah, but that's who's putting it on, is the mom market.
Well, it can be confusing. I remember years ago seeing in the Leamington paper that there was a Mennonite sale. And I said to my boss at the time, oh my God, they're selling Mennonites.
Oh my God.
Guys, you get semantics. Anyway.
It's just, hey,
like I'm saying,
got to be specific with the...
Right. So we're starting to see things that are happening in the community. Like weekends are filling up very quickly. Stuff's happening, and it's great to see.
Happening.
So we're ending
for moms and dads,
for any and all the above. So
I think it's 2 weeks tonight is Jack Minor graduation,
right?
And 2 weeks and a day is KPS and St. John graduation.
Yeah,
which means it's less than 3 weeks till a high school graduation.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
things are happening. So
that'll be the second last one for them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If everything goes according to plan, yes.
It looks like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on another episode, we'll discuss any of the new developments we've heard from the school build and timeline and general, what's happening. So, again, thank you to Gary for production for That Kingsville Podcast. Always appreciate it. Thanks for the sound bites. You're right there. Steve did throw a few in there, rapid fire. I'm going to pander to everybody. If you're watching us on YouTube, please just hit the subscribe button. We're almost at 200, and I know that sounds like such a small, number, but
means a lot to us.
To us, I may be able to give up my career if we get 200 subscribers.
If you subscribe, we'll handwrite you a letter.
You may, or ChatGPT will.
So there's only 200 of them. That won't take that long.
It's not so bad, but again, your feedback, everybody.
3 of them are us.
They are my mom, your parents. We really have like 82 actual subscribers.
Well, 60 of them are all accounts that I made.
Oh, jeez. Way to go, Kevin. Again, please like, subscribe, share, whatever have you. And we hope you join us on the next episode of That Kingsville Podcast. Thanks for watching.